just today, South Africa declared that all the BRICS leaders, meaning Putin included, attending the BRICS summit in South Africa in August will be given blanket immunity. So basically, why did they do this? They did this because they're in a very awkward position where South Africa is a member of the International Criminal Court. So, they're a signatory of the Rome Statute from 1998, and the ICC just a few months ago in March they issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. So if Putin, he gets to Pretoria, he gets to South Africa, he steps off the plane, they have to arrest him because there's a warrant out for his arrest. And South Africa has domesticated this law, right? They've basically integrated it into their constitution and so on. And South Africa, here's the document, by the way, right? So this is where they've used the Diplomatic Immunities and Privileges Act of 2001 to give all the delegates, right? So when they say delegates, they mean the presidents, the people attending, to give all of them immunity. So that means Lula, that means Modi, because it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And so, it's funny because South Africa, they've been in this position before. In 2005, I think it was, Bashir, who was then the president of Sudan. Now, of course, Sudan's in a completely different situation, and I've covered, I'm the conflict that's going on now, which is actually, goes back many years. I've done separate videos on that about Dagalo and so on, and the rapid strike forces and so on. I've explained that there. But back then, Bashir was the president, and he went from Sudan and he visited South Africa. And they were also supposed to arrest him then, and they didn't. And they actually helped him flee before, because you see what's going on is the opposition, which is today is the Democratic Alliance. But you have people in South Africa who are like, yeah, we should arrest this guy. And they're going to the courts, and they're basically trying to get the courts to order the government into, carrying out and executing the warrant. And so before the courts could actually act, the government helped Bashir escape. And, well, there's basically the Supreme Court in South Africa came out and said, no, you should have arrested Bashir. And now you've got Putin who's coming in almost, an identical situation. And there's not only the Rome Statute and the ICC telling him you have to arrest him, but there's literally a legal precedent. There's a Supreme Court ruling that they have to do this. And so the government in South Africa, you have to understand, which is ruled by the ANC, this is the anti-apartheid government that we're talking about. I mean, the president literally helped write the Constitution with Nelson Mandela. So they love, well, not love, perhaps that's a strong word, but they really respect and they admire the Russians and the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union, often helped anti-colonial movements, and it stood against apartheid in South Africa, and it gave the ANC support and so on. So they're not going to turn around now and just like backstab the Russians. It's just, it feels wrong. And on top of that, South Africa is a BRICS country. They're one of the emerging giants. So it doesn't make, business-wise, it makes no sense to stab the Russians in the back and to arrest Putin. You have to understand, we are talking about Russia. We are not talking about some random country. This is, and I would say the same thing about the United States. Unfortunately, those war criminals were never brought to justice. But my point here is that these are big world powers we're talking about. You can't just arrest the president, And when I say this, if Putin's going to get his turn, let's deal with Bush, and let's deal with, Bush Sr. Well, he's gone already. Let's deal with Henry Kissinger, who we were just talking about. Putin is way down on the list, okay? But you understand my point. It's politically and economically, Russia is too big to mess with. Now, let me play you this clip of the South African President Ramaphosa.
Once again today, South Africa has not been and will not be drawn into a contest between global powers. We will maintain our position on the peaceful resolution of conflict wherever those conflicts occur.
Ramaphosa during his keynote address at Africa.
Right. So why is this important? It's because he's trying to signal that we're not going to arrest Putin. We're not going to get drawn into it. That's what he's saying, right? And I played you a clip of the ANC Secretary General the other day. Let me show you this BBC. It was this clip, actually. Let me just show it again, right? It's from Hard Talk. Look at him getting schooled.
Is a treaty member of the International Criminal Court. If Putin comes here in August as planned, your government will be obliged to arrest him. As head of the ANC, do you believe your government should and indeed will arrest Vladimir Putin?
If it was according to the ANC, we will want President Putin to be here even tomorrow.
You would?
To come to our country. But
you would welcome Vladimir Putin here right now?
Of course, we will welcome.
A man who is being investigated for war crimes by the International Criminal Court.
We will welcome him to come here as part and parcel of BRICS, but we know that we are constrained by the ICC in terms of doing that. Putin is a head of state. Do you think that a head of state can just be arrested anywhere? How many crimes have your country committed in Iraq? How many crimes have everyone else who's so vocal today committed in Iraq and Afghanistan? Have you arrested them? You have not.
No, we have not. You know why? Because according to the High Court, because people tried getting Tony Blair rightfully arrested, the High Court said that invading a country, which legally it's called a crime of aggression, the High Court said invading a country is not a crime in England. Now it is, right? Because you have this basically you have under the Rome Statute in the ICC, you have genocide, you have crimes against humanity, the crime of aggression, so invading a country. Actually, I should say that that's number 4 on the list, right? That wasn't ratified by the United Kingdom well after Tony Blair had left. So I agree, you should not apply the law retroactively, meaning if today it's a crime. If today something becomes a crime, you can't start going after everybody who's committed this crime as of or what is a crime as of today. You can't go back in time and start arresting all of them. It's ridiculous. But the thing is with Tony Blair, with people like that, we're not talking about somebody who robbed a store, or did something shady. I mean, this guy killed millions of people. It's not something you take lightly. But in any case, my opinion aside, the law is not applied retroactively in most countries anyway. And Tony Blair, he gets off scot-free. So no, we have not arrested our war criminals to answer his question. Let me show you. Again, this is BBC Hard Talk, right? In case you guys don't know the guy getting schooled. Here he is again, getting schooled a second time. Are you ready?
South Africa right now calls itself non-aligned.
In the context of the war, but these are two different things. South Africa is an ally of Russia. Now, the second question is, where does South Africa stand on the war? It says I'm a non-aligned in relation to war, but Russia remains South Africa's friend. So we cannot create confusion around there. Don't create an impression that it is Malema who's going to come and create an alliance with Russia.
But there are some very specific...
Actually, I will go beyond that. I will go beyond the friendship with Russia, and in the war, I will align with Russia, and I will even supply the weapons to Russia. Because Russia is in a war with imperialism, and any agenda that seeks to push back imperialist agendas, it's well within the policies of the EFF.
South Africa right now calls...
He wasn't ready for that. He wasn't ready for that, right? This guy is like, you support the Russians? You are aware that this man is accused of war crimes, like he's like some fucking headmaster at some boys' school. God, it's really incredible, it's incredible. But he got schooled multiple times. I think he'll be leaving South Africa very soon. So I think, as I said, the South Africa is a very smart country, and they are a very wealthy country, and they are, as I said, one of the giants one of the five giants of the BRICS, right? I mean, you can call them developing economies, but that's an understatement. They're not stupid. They're not stupid. And you heard his sentiment. He said Russia is in a war with imperialism. So I'm not just going to be non-aligned. He said I'm going to supply Russia with weapons. That's what he said. Now that doesn't mean that South Africa is really supplying Russia with weapons, because that's what the Americans are accusing them of. And then the American ambassador, had to apologize the day after he got schooled. Jesus Christ, that was so funny, man. He got summoned to the foreign ministry the next morning, and he got dressed down, right? He got the démarche. Well, again, we covered that, but it's worth bringing up again because of how funny it is. This is really interesting to see, because it's kind of, they can't let South Africa go, right? It's really difficult for them to see non-aligned countries or countries that support Russia actually, have differing opinions. They can't grasp this in the media. Their brains explode, right? So no, Putin is not going to be arrested unless something, drastic changes from here to August. He's not going to be arrested when he gets to Pretoria. And let me put it like this. On the one hand, I understand the argument that South Africa, they are the ones who signed the Rome Statute. They got themselves into the ICC. They joined as a member, and they have to apply the law. And they have a legal the Supreme Court literally, after the case with Bashir, said, you guys had to arrest him. You can't just go around doing this. You must arrest him. You must execute the warrant. I understand this. Let me just tell you this, though. If South Africa has to arrest Putin, then who has to arrest Tony Blair and George Bush and George Bush Sr., right? And Donald Trump and Obama and Joe Biden. These guys, look, Joe Biden is inside Syria stealing oil. He's occupying half the country. Does anyone at the ICC give a crap about this man? Do they even give a shit to look at a piece of paper with his name on it at the ICC? Zero. Never, ever, ever you're going to see Joe Biden at the ICC. Ever. Forget it. The Americans have something. This is an actual law in the United States that George Bush signed in 2002. And it's basically a law that stipulates that the Americans will invade The Hague, the ICC. This is the same court we are talking about. They will invade this court if you take an American there. So don't come here and say, oh, South Africa, you have to follow the law. Na. This is insane. Now, to be fair, the Americans, they didn't sign the Rome Statute. I mean, if I recall, Bill Clinton delayed it to his last day in office, and then he handed, the mess over to George Bush, who just never ratified it. So, the Americans they're not in the ICC. Fine, I understand. Neither are the Russians. But you can't take this court seriously, because all they do is they go after African presidents and people from Yugoslavia. That's all they care about. It's a court that goes after Africans and people from Yugoslavia. That's it. And the British war criminals and the French war criminals and the American war criminals, they are left alone. They have immunity. How is this fair? How are you telling people in South Africa to take this court seriously when all it does is look away from the West and just go after people in the East? I'm sorry, but it's very difficult. It's a sad thing. It should be, in an ideal world, in a utopia, the ICC, it should be something that actually deters people from doing things like Iraq, from doing things like Afghanistan. It doesn't serve its purpose. Look at the Palestinians, for example. It's been a year and a half, barely a year and a half, that the ICC have even agreed to look at the case of Israeli war crimes in Palestine, because Palestine is not a member of the United Nations or a full member. They just have observer status, because we're not allowed to give the Palestinians their own country that's called Israel now, apparently. And the war crimes committed against them. We have to look over whether we cover this place because it's not really a, we don't know if we have jurisdiction there since it's not a real country. And then okay, fine, we do decide that we have jurisdiction, but we're not really going to do anything. And then the chief prosecutor leaves and just hands it over to someone else. Yeah, I mean, come on. Remember, the Americans sanctioned her, Fatou Bensouda, and also the head of the judiciary, right? They sanctioned them like 2 years ago. Mike Pompeo sanctioned them. So that's how much respect the Americans have for this court. So when you see the Americans starting to wag their fingers at South Africa and say, oh, you have to follow the ICC's you have to execute the ICC's warrant, and you have to respect your commitments and blah blah blah. Come on. Let's not insult each other's intelligence. Come on. Besides, this blanket immunity is for everybody attending BRICS, as I said. It's not just for Putin. They didn't, they're not giving him any preferential treatment, you could say. We'll leave it at that, shall we?